something curious happened to me while I was taking leave. Even though all of my team members understood, I got notes, I got text messages, I still did not appreciate how much shame I would feel in actually taking the
Mhm.
time off.
Mhm.
Would people understand? Would they think it's just a dog? Like, can't you get it together? As a
Mhm.
woman CEO, you also wonder, like, am I showing up the right way? Am I doing a good
Mhm.
job? Do they think I'm a good leader? Am I too emotional? Um, in your day to day, this felt, it just felt like a complete departure from where I was as I was
Mhm.
showing up as a CEO and leading and moving things forward. And here I was completely at a standstill.
Hello.
Hello.
Sorry. Stay.
We both have our little puppies.
I know he's a deeper. This one, it's actually pretty timely today. He's 13,
Oh, wow.
and if he's with us this time next week, I'll
Oh,
be surprised.
oh, wow.
Yeah, we're hi buddy.
Little guy.
We're kind of at the end here. He's got Cushing's disease, which is, do you know what that is? You know all the medical stuff. So
Not all
um
of it.
he's been kind of having he isn't controlling his bowels very well. So he was going to have an ultrasound to see if they could figure out what was, if he had a tumor on his kidneys or anything. And my husband told the vet that that was going on.
Yeah.
And the vet said, let's just cancel the ultrasound.
As soon as they lose their like bodily, like, because it's hard for them too, especially if they're potty trained. They feel that.
Oh yeah. And he doesn't even know he's doing it. Like the good news is it's not too bad. It's just like ends up in his bed or,
Yeah.
yeah. So he said we don't need to do that ultrasound because if we find something, we're not gonna do anything about it. So we're just gonna keep him comfortable.
Yeah.
And then
Give
my husband,
cheeseburgers, chocolate.
all the things, cheese.
Cheese.
So Mike asked him, well, how will we know? And he said, well, he'll stop eating. So about a week, 5 days ago, all of a sudden he stopped eating his food, which he's a lab. Like, and so I'm like, well, maybe he has a sore tooth. So then we tried soft food, ate it, loved it. Then he stopped eating that.
Oh
So then
no.
yesterday I made him scrambled eggs. Loved it. Last night he had 6 of them. Mike
Oh.
made it this morning. He didn't eat them. So anyway, we're just kind of, so we're trying to get through till Sunday. Our daughter is, all of our kids grew up with these dogs, so they're all really close. But our daughter is, she just got her first tattoo and it's of this dog on her body.
Oh my God.
It's so cute. It's the outline of his, it's just
Oh,
this outline of his
like
little,
ears in his head.
it's really cute. But she's got a game on Sunday and she's just starting and we're like, we gotta get through
Gotta make it through Sunday. You
because
gotta
she'll
make it.
she'll lose the plot. Yeah.
Yeah.
As she should, as all understandable. So we're just hoping we tried giving him a gabapentin yesterday
Mhm.
and he couldn't walk. His
I
hind
was,
legs just gave out.
that's what happened when Kingston could not handle gabapentin. Like he lost all leg function. He could only do like carprofen. That's how he handled the pain. Because the gabapentin,
Carprofen.
because a lot of dogs, the neuro part of them can't handle the gabapentin.
I'm gonna ask about that carprofen.
Yeah, carprofen, or we did carprofen is the one that we normally use, or meloxicam was it's like a anti-steroidal to help with some of the swelling for Kingston. Just pain, like you're just keeping him comfortable,
Yeah, but not like
Yes.
and
Yeah.
that was terrible. So we're like, okay, we're not giving him that again because that like he couldn't walk in a straight line and in his hindquarters. And I'm like, oh my God, he looks like he's about to die, this guy.
Or like disabled, like Kingston
Uh-huh.
dragged his paw, like, and then he had to like flip it back up to like walk. It just, it was a whole thing.
Oh, it's so awful. So I'm heartbroken. I will be honest though, my husband is like, he every morning this week,
Yeah.
he's a mess. So he's already found the person who can come to the house. And
Oh, good. I was gonna ask you if you're at home.
we've, the last 2 dogs we took to the vet. One we had to, we didn't have a choice, but we said we'd never do that again.
Yeah. Same with us. It's hard because in your home, it's like a memory that's there, but it's the gift you give to them where it's like, it's their happiest place,
Yeah.
home, you
Yeah.
know?
They're safe and everybody's with them.
Yeah.
And I said to the tech, when I picked up the medicine yesterday, I said, I just wish he would just, because his breathing is, labored, and like, I wish he would just close
Going to
his
sleep.
eyes. And she
Yeah.
said, yeah,
It's
labs,
not natural for them though. One of my
no,
friends'
said
dogs,
labs don't do that.
yeah, that's like, and she said it was actually, she said the gasping, like it was like, it wasn't like a natural transition. Like it was actually really like traumatic to watch versus you could just go to sleep being hugged, you know?
Mm. Yeah, but at least by the time that starts, they're pretty out, right? So that's just the body's reaction, right?
Yeah.
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 That actually, my girlfriend's father had the same experience when they did hospice, and they got
Yeah.
him
You
on
get the
the
death
morphine.
rattle,
Oh,
they call it. Isn't that weird?
dreadful. Yeah.
I'm so sorry, Chris. That's so
Anyway,
awful. I'm
it is
really so
awful.
sorry.
It's awful, and it's part of the commitment. Like we
Yeah.
get them, and we know they're not going to be with us the whole time, and so
Yep.
it's like I just get pretty pragmatic. Like, my husband is one of the, like, he'll just keep looking at the dog like, oh, right.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's right here.
That's right. Hug him. But it's that anticipatory grief. Like it is, it's
It's
hard.
so, so perfect timing to talk about pets being family. Because they are. Now, I don't have your book yet. I pre-ordered it. So,
Oh, it's still not there, like on Amazon?
yes.
I don't know
Should
what's
I have
going on
gotten
with
it?
Amazon. Yeah, it should have come already because it was released March 21st. So
Well, what the fuck?
I know.
I don't know what's happening. Let me look at my orders. I'll look if I don't find it, but I know I pre-ordered it. I know I did because I had it in my queue. It's always fun when I never do this, and then I see all the stuff my kids are ordering.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, or even the stuff
Oh,
you
there's
ordered.
that. Oh, that's fun.
Oh, I
Oh,
did order that too.
maybe I didn't. Did I order it off your website? No. Oh no, I guess I didn't. Or did I order? You didn't do an audiobook.
I did an ebook. You could get it for through Apple Books or Kindle.
Maybe I did it through Kindle. Okay. Either way, what I want to do on this podcast is
Yes.
highlight you and talk about that you're amazing
Oh my,
and all the things you do. But mostly, right? You think about who's our audience.
that's what I
Mostly
was. Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
women leading businesses, or there are quite a few who are executive leaders, but still they usually have some level of
Mhm.
authority and position. So really, like, why does this matter, right? And what are the initiatives that you're recommending?
I like it. Okay. I was thinking about that too. I was like, how much am I going to go into this versus how does it apply to the things that we've talked about? Because for me, like one of the things that I think about, I really had to learn how to really set up like proper boundaries with employees, right? Like
Mm.
there's a balance between we're not a family, but also I care about you. And as a small business, there's a balance between financial health of the business and providing time off. So
Mhm.
what is the benefit? That's where I was like, maybe I could
Oh,
talk
I
about
love
it like
that.
that.
Yeah, I do love that. So
Okay.
we will talk about that. Okay, I'm going to put that
Okay.
so I don't forget to order it. Okay. So as is the case, that's really what I would like it to be conversational,
Yeah.
20, 25 minutes,
Okay.
not too much. Make sure I'll do an intro before I release it. So I'll do that separately.
Okay.
Um, and make sure you have whatever link or two that you want people to go to.
Yes, yes, yes. Because things are happening. Oh my God. I just got asked today to do an article for Business Insider, Chris.
Come on.
I'm like, what? You want me to do what? And they're like, it's due tomorrow. And I was like, if you said it was due in an hour, I would write it
I
up.
figure it out.
Yeah.
That's so
So
fun.
I'm excited. I'm really excited.
Yay. I love
Yeah.
it. You're,
Yeah.
it's a movement, love.
It's happening. It's happening.
Okay. So
Okay.
let's just start
Okay.
knowing that the introduction is coming and I have a leery eye over here on the paper. What do you see her? Yeah.
I can. I want her to get in her bed because I want a screenshot of us with our kids behind us.
There we go.
Goes, okay, let me get one.
Yeah.
And then I want to post that we had an interview today. I'm like, can I see his tail?
Yeah. I'll smudge there.
Okay. I love it. Okay, let me see. Oh, it's perfect. And it's got his little booty in there.
With the booty and the
Yeah.
top of her head.
Oh, his little
When
tushy.
she starts moving around, I get worried that she's gonna bark at me. Okay.
Oh, her face right then. She side-eyed you.
She does. When she has a walleye. So one eye, she'll be looking at you and
Yeah,
me at the same time.
that's amazing.
Yeah. I'm worried about her. I'm like, okay, she can't be alone.
Yep,
My husband's not
yep.
ready to talk about it, but I'm like, she's gonna need a friend.
She is gonna, but you're gonna get chaos back in your life with puppies. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. I'm so excited you're here.
Me too.
I know that in the introduction, I just, glowed about you as well, but I'm just, I know I'm always reluctant because I don't want to sound like your mother because I'm not, but I'm just so proud of you. So
Girlfriends can be proud of each other.
I'm very proud. I just am proud of everything that you went through over the course of the last year, which I know we're going to break down and where you are today. So why don't we just begin by you saying a few things about yourself and to everybody listening and welcome Miss Erika Sinner.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here. So my name is Erika Sinner. I am the founder and CEO of Directory. We're going on 6 years, which is awesome. It's been a ride. Thank
Mhm.
God I've had you by my side. And in the last year, I've turned into an author. So I now have a book too.
Mhm. It's
Yeah.
so exciting. So let's talk a little bit about directory
Okay.
because I do think there's a very real correlation between that business and where that business is, and then why you were able to write a book, right, about such an important subject. So tell us a little bit about your business. Well, how did directory even get to be a thing?
Great question.
Mm.
So Directory, what we do is we help small to mid-sized pharmaceutical companies bring their medications to market. So we
Mhm.
come in as their commercial teams. We help them make sure their brand plans actually get executed and that patients are able to get the medications that they have created.
Mhm.
So it feels important. It feels impactful. I always said I wanted to help people. And I knew deep within my soul it was not in the healthcare space in the traditional way you think about it as like a doctor or a nurse or, somebody actually helping someone from a like health perspective.
Mhm.
So this was my entry point in is being in the pharmaceutical space and helping
Mhm.
from medication standpoint. So I grew up in pharma. I started my first position at 21. I did it for 11 years. Made it through the brand team.
lots of different brand launches, lots of different types of conditions I got to work on and learn about. And then I decided to go on my own consulting for a few years
Mm-hmm.
because the pharma mecca is not in St. Louis, Missouri. So, so I did some consulting and it was amazing because I felt like I could do the things that I really love to do. I'm really passionate about my job, my work, the things that we do, but I love, whether you get it or not, the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
I love St. Louis. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, after a few years of consulting though on your own and what you call it a solopreneur,
Mm-hmm.
uh, it's hard. It's really hard to be responsible for everything, invoicing,
Mm-hmm.
expenses, booking travel, but also trying to take on clients. And then how do you do business development and how do you make sure you're going to keep having clients coming back? And so after a few years, I realized if I could, you know, other people start businesses every day. If I could do it, then could I actually be helping more companies with more brands that need to reach patients? And so
Mm-hmm.
Directory was born.
I love it.
Yeah.
And when you say you just decided to go out on your own,
Mhm.
like that's a big decision. What did you believe about yourself that made you think, yeah, I can do that?
Yeah, if I'm being really honest, I don't know if I had had my position here in St. Louis be stable and continuing on that I would have ever made the decision.
Mm,
The company I was working for moved from St. Louis to New Jersey. So lots of
mhm,
pharmas in New Jersey, New York, Boston, North Carolina. And so they offered me a package to move. And the day that I found out was also the day we were closing on our house.
mm. Interesting. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I fell in love with our home. I talked to my husband about it and just, I was heartbroken. And he said, we could move if you want to move. I'm
Mhm,
open to it. We could do
mhm,
that. This is your career. This is what you want to be doing the rest of your life. And so we considered it for, a good maybe hour. And, but then he said, we could also bet on ourselves. I believe in you.
mhm,
You have a big network. You're really good at your job. I trust in what you're doing. And he said, and I also work. So if something were to happen, we're a team, we'll figure this out.
mhm,
And so we decided, let's let's gamble on ourselves and can we do it?
mhm.
Yeah.
And here you are.
And here we are. I'm
Here
so
we
glad.
are. Yes.
I'm
It's
so
so
glad.
wonderful. Yeah. It's it's one of the things that's so cool about the work I do is meeting all of you all and all these interesting businesses that exist, right? There's so many ways to be successful and to generate a lot of jobs and opportunities for people to work in really healthy environments and also to establish your own wealth and all of those things, right? I just think it's fabulous. So,
Yeah.
okay. So, fast forward. Now you have
Yes.
this thriving business. How many people work in directory?
We have 23 full-time employees, and then we have a whole dozens of contractors that are part of our
Mhm,
team so that we can help, more companies. But it is every day is different. And
mhm,
I'm so grateful for the thought work we've done over the last few
mhm,
years.
mhm,
um, to get to where we are because now I feel like the engine is well oiled and we are
mhm,
now in full on expansion mode, which is something I've been dreaming about for
mhm,
years. And it's
mhm.
it's really here. It's really happening.
Yeah, and you've really been able to build the leadership team to help you do that too, which has been super fun
Yes.
to watch. Yeah, so good. You can't do it alone, right?
Mm-mm.
The dream
Mm.
really is in the team.
Yeah, 100%.
So cheesy, but it's true.
It's true.
Okay, so then now let's talk about your life.
Yeah,
You're a dog mom,
I am.
proudly stated regularly.
Yes.
Pet parent.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so
Yeah.
tell us all about you and Chris and those cute puppies.
Yeah. So Chris and I have been together 10 years, married 9. And what I love about my husband is he is very pragmatic about life, right? In his
Mhm,
mind, he's not going to just do what everyone else does, or he's not going to follow along societal norms. And when we decided to get married, he sat us down and was like, what kind of life do we want to have? Like, what do we want to be doing?
mhm,
And that's, I think, for both of us, I still wasn't sure that human kids were not for me until
mhm,
we really sat down and thought about Like, what do we want to be doing? Are we ready for our life not to be about ourselves or our careers or like what we've
Mhm.
got going on? Like, let's be honest with ourselves. And then it just became really clear where, there's a lot of ways to give the love that you have out into the
Mhm.
world. It doesn't have to be that you have human kids.
Mhm.
And so that's what we did. We decided we were going to be dog parents. And so
Mhm.
we ended up with 4 Shar as our children.
And they're all different, right? They're all from
Yep.
different litters and right?
Yep.
None of them are biological. No.
Nope. All different colors. 3 of them are brush coat. One of them is a bear coat. He actually looks like a little bear
Mhm.
from the wild. Um, but I'm sure as many of your listeners also probably feel as a woman CEO, woman founder, it's not the norm. It's also not the norm to just not have kids.
Mhm.
So it was my first, I think, start to, people would ask, how come you didn't have kids? But you'd be such a good mom. But why
Mhm.
not? Like there's probably
Mhm.
IVF treatments. So it's always been interesting to answer the question and say, no, actually we just chose this life and it's
Mhm.
wonderful.
Mhm. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's quite an assumption, I think, right? I think that we'll see what happens with kind of the generations that are coming up after us because I think a lot more people are making more conscious decisions about what they want instead of just sort of like I know for sure, like I'm thrilled I have kids, but I also just was like, okay, I think it's probably that now is the time.
Is the time.
Now we
Yeah.
should have kids,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So I think it takes a lot of courage to sort of choose what you want and of course you can always choose again, right? Whatever. I think that's also super cool. Um
Yeah. Yeah.
and interestingly enough in, Sage CEO, I think we have like almost like a pretty good balance between
True.
women who have kids and women who don't. And so I love that that tells a great story. It doesn't you can have and create the life that you want and the success that you want in your business regardless
It
of
is really
what you choose.
beautiful to
Yeah.
see stage CEO and see other women making decisions that are not the norm or what's expected and find, it's like you found your tribe to
Yeah.
say, like, okay, I'm not different or I'm
Yeah.
not
Not the only
normal.
one in here. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, why Sharpays?
Oh my gosh, that's all my husband. That is all my husband. He was a cat person, and I've always been a dog person. So when my Muttley passed, she was 18. Actually, she was 19 when she passed. Um, it was time for us to really decide, okay, so what are we going to get? What again, back to what fits in our lifestyle? Do we want a lab so we can run? Do we want like what type of energy level? And
Mhm.
he just came to the table with, I need to convince you about these Shar which I have learned are the cat dogs of like they're the cats of the dog
Interesting. Interesting.
world. Yeah. They don't come for treats, they don't wiggle their tails. They make a lot of decisions whether they want to feel loved or not.
Very stubborn.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yep.
fair enough. That's
Yeah.
good. Well, they're certainly stinking cute, right? They have a
Yeah.
lot of health issues though, right? That's something you guys learned as they've all gone along.
They do.
Yes.
They really
Yeah.
do.
And
Yeah.
what are their ages?
They range from 6 to 9.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
now we're into almost a year ago.
Yes. Back in May.
Yep. Isn't that
Mhm.
crazy? Holy
It is.
smokes, that
I
went
know.
fast.
I
That
know.
was like because Hawaii was right. You came to Hawaii and you got really sick, and
Yep.
that was April.
That was April.
Like, that was
Yeah.
kind of when, yeah, you kind of kept having
The year kind of changed for me
just
from that.
whammies. Yeah, a lot of things happening. Okay. So let's take it from there because kind of the way that I see what you went through and then what you made with it, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
about
I
this
mean,
time, yeah.
yeah. So in May, it was a Monday. My entire leadership team was flying into St. Louis for a full week long, full packed agenda of work we were going to do. And that Monday morning, as they were all flying in, Kingston was not doing well and like so badly. I mean, it was very obvious. And so my husband and I decided to take him to the emergency room and immediately, I mean, I actually thought it was kind of irresponsible for them to say it as quickly as they did, where, they said, there's something really wrong here. We're talking days. We're not talking weeks. And they hadn't even done like the full exam. It was just based on
Mm,
the quick, the heart rate. seen how he was walking, the symptoms we described before we came in. But they still said there was this 5% chance that it was something else. So
Mhm.
we were just holding on to that it was the 5% chance, and it ended up not being. He had a heart tumor,
Mm.
and his heart was continuing to fill up with fluid. And so they told us we have three times that we can drain his heart, and then after that, it's too much stress on his body.
Mhm.
And here I am working in the healthcare space. I'm like, what about open heart surgery? What about, you
Right?
know?
Is there a pig's heart somewhere we
Yeah,
could yeah. Mhm.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That week was really hard.
Mm.
But it was also a week that I really took everything that we've put into practice and what we've done through the SAGE program around honoring your feelings and validating
Mhm.
yourself and saying, I recognize my entire team is here. Um, I am not going to be present this week. I need to
Mhm.
be at home with my family. And this is the work we do, right? That you set up your
Mhm.
leadership teams in the way that they need to run so that they can operate in your absence. And I'm
Yep.
so grateful that we did that for the
Mhm.
years before. I don't know that that would have been possible.
Mhm.
Um, so
Well,
we
it might have been that you would have taken the time,
Yeah.
but you don't know what you're gonna go back to, right? That's
Yeah.
the issue. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we lost him on May 22nd. And I've always had pet bereavement leave in our policies. I just knew I was going to need it, especially after losing Muttley. Although with Muttley, she was 19. I had her since I was 11. I could understand. It would just like losing a grandparent. Like I understood what was happening. It still was really hard, which is why I knew I needed pet bereavement leave in my policies, and my employees can take advantage of it too. Um, but it was something curious happened to me while I was taking leave, even though all of my team members understood. I got notes, I got text messages. I still did not appreciate how much shame I would feel in actually taking the
Mm.
time off.
Mhm.
Would people understand? Would they think it's just a dog? Like, can't you get it together? As a
Mhm.
woman CEO, you also wonder, like, am I showing up the right way? Am I doing a good
Mhm.
job? Do they think I'm a good leader? Am I too emotional?
Mhm.
Um, in your day to day, that this felt it just felt like a complete departure from where I was as I was
Mhm.
showing up as a CEO and leading and moving things forward. And here I was completely at a standstill. So yeah, I mean, it was interesting that I felt that way, but after the leave, I went back to work, and then, 21 days later, Edmund, our blue Shar was diagnosed with cancer, and we spent the whole summer fighting cancer, and it's so wonderful to be able to say he's right here with me. You
He's
can
right
see him.
there.
Yeah,
But
he
when
made
when
it.
you told me that, I was like, "Come on.
I
What are
know.
we doing?
I
Enough."
know.
Yes.
That's what it shut me down.
Yeah.
It was a lot. And
Yeah.
so I did take some more time off while we had to go to U of I, so it was 3.5 hour drive each way. And there was the treatments and the radiation and the immunotherapies, all the things, the surgeries that we had. Um, and so throughout that time, I think for me, I always have to feel like I'm a contributing member of society. I have to feel like I'm processing something or I'm doing something. So I
Mm.
started to write, and that's when I wrote my book, because I really feel this responsibility around creating this space for other people. I
Mhm.
feel so lucky that I do own my own company, that I did have pet bereavement leave, and that I
Mhm.
could take the time off. And I know I wouldn't have been okay if I hadn't.
Mhm.
So now I feel like I want to be able to advocate to create that for other people.
Right. It's so important. And I
Yeah.
love I love that you mentioned, that there's this kind of even you, right, felt this sort of shame
Yeah.
in the process because that gives you such insight. I think for our listeners, that's such good insight too, that even if you offer any kind of leave,
Yep.
honestly,
Yep.
but when it comes to pets, the relationship that I have with my pets is so personal
Mhm.
that then for me to make that choice and it affects my work or it affects my presence, it could feel like I'm being silly or like
Yeah.
you said, like, right, like,
Yeah.
you
We're
know.
all super comfortable with sharing cute photos or look what he did
Mhm.
today, but it's not as comfortable to talk about how much it hurts when they pass.
Mhm.
And I think as a society, grief is just hard in general because
Yeah.
it forces us to look at our own mortality.
Mhm.
And even when we lose human beings, I think we all just want to get back to being better, uh,
Absolutely.
which is hard. But you talk about crucibles, and that was my moment. I think, not choosing to have human kids and have a marriage where we don't have them, and that's just our life, was something that we talk about and people have interesting reactions to. But I like you said, I think more are starting to have, families that look like us. And then also to be a woman CEO is also different, right? There's only 2% of
Mhm.
us that are
Mhm.
doing what we're doing, which pat on
Mhm.
our back, it's incredible, but it still is different. And so this, though, normalizing talking about pet grief and how much it actually hurts really just feels like we haven't really started that conversation enough. And I
Mhm.
feel really proud to be able to do it.
Mhm.
I still find myself sometimes wondering, am I taking this too far? Am I being silly around it?
Mhm.
Um, and I always just have to go back to, how it's like take myself back to that space where I
Mhm.
really needed it.
Mhm. Well,
Yeah.
I want to understand the book a little bit more here and have you share, but I want to share with you and the listeners. There's a really good book. You've probably heard me talk about it, Erica, because it's one of my favorites. It's called The Dream Manager, and it's by a guy named Matthew Kelly. And it's an older book. It's a parable, and but basically, the Dream Manager, this company hires a person to help its employees achieve their dreams. And it's like a version of Wendy from Billions, but
Yeah.
not a creepy weird one if you've watched that show. But nonetheless, right, it's like that. But basically the hypothesis that he asserts in that book is that in order for an organization to be and become the best version of itself, it has to help its employees be and become the best version of themselves.
Yes.
And so, what I love about the way that you think about this and now the advocacy that you're really standing for, and frankly, the movement you've begun, because you really are leading a charge of and a movement. I mean, you're on TV shows and radio shows and writing articles, right? You're doing because what you have to say is creating such an honoring space for the importance of holistically looking at all of the challenges that employees go through and not like super overindulging them, but treating them with balance. Like grief
Yeah.
is grief is grief is grief is grief. I don't feel different grief based on different people in my life. Grief is grief, right?
Yes. Yes.
Um, so I just, I love that. So talk because when you told me you were writing a book and you were in the middle of you were driving him to his cancer treatments, I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, of course you are. It's like, but what a great way to channel so much. So what's the premise and point of the book?
Yes.
And what is
So
the name of the book?
good. Yeah, I need to do a
Oh,
better job of talking about
that's all
my
right.
book.
I could do a better
Um,
job asking questions.
it's Pets or Family. It's as simple as that is the title. The front cover of it is my family on our last family photo with Kingston together. And the whole reason I wrote the book was speaking to two different types of audiences. One is those who have lost a pet, to say everything you feel is real. You're not broken. Nothing's wrong with you. Yes, it really does hurt this badly.
Mhm.
And then the other is if you love someone who has lost a furry family member, because they are family, they just happen to be furry, and you don't understand because you yourself have never had an animal, let me let you into my life and you can
Mm,
follow our journey and at least appreciate what your loved one is going through.
mhm.
And a lot of people, I think, say it's hard when a human being passes, to know what to do, but we still, as a society, have like funerals and obituaries and you send
Right.
food, but not a lot know what to do when you've lost a pet. And
Mhm.
so part of the book too, at the end, talks about here's some of the things that we received that we really appreciated. Here's text messages. It doesn't always have to be a gift or money or showing up with your time. It's even just sending a text message to say and mentioning their name. I know you're
Mhm.
going through a really hard time and you miss Kingston. We miss
Mhm.
him too. It just validates again that the feelings are real and someone else
Mhm.
understands. So it's both of those. It's bringing both groups together and then saying, what can we do? So I think we all can agree when a pet passes, it's really sad. And when somebody's willing to open up about it, we all get sad. You see, like,
Mhm.
um, even men on TV are talking
Mhm.
it and they're going viral. But for me, it's always been, how do we get ahead of it, which
Mhm.
is providing space. It's pet bereavement leave. So let's
Mhm.
not just be sad with somebody, but also like give them a moment
Yeah.
uh, to breathe.
Mhm.
But to your
Have
point earlier around like, it is a balance. There's a
Mhm.
balance in like, how do you, that your employees and your team, you are a team. You're not a family. You're a
Mhm.
team, and you have an agreement on how you're contributing to the organization. At the
Mhm.
same time, being there for your employee and recognizing that their life outside of work is going to impact their life in work, and it's going to impact their productivity and the quality, and they're actually representing your brand in every interaction that they have
Mhm.
with clients.
Mhm.
um, so how do you balance the financial health of your organization while also showing up for your employee? And
Mhm.
pet bereavement leave for me is the entry point to then talk about, there's lots of ways we can really think about it without over-indexing on, giving in on everything, right? You still have to have a successful business, but there's a way to do it
Mhm.
that has balance.
Well, I think, one of the kind of core truths I believe about hiring in general, bringing people into a company is it all has to do the success of your ability, let me say this, your ability to build a high performing successful team
Mhm.
is always contingent on the clarity of the invitation
I like that.
and the clarity of the agreements that we mutually make to one another from the beginning.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, what most companies do, and then also what most employees do, is companies hire people for a job and that's it. Like, here's your job, here's your benefits, go.
Mhm.
And there's not really any agreements to like our behaviors, our values, to be a part of this, I use the word queendom, right? To be a part of my queendom, this is what the exchange is. This
Yes.
is your contribution, this is mine, right? And then also employees can then just be like, well, this is just my job.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I get paid this much, and this is my job and my title, without really agreeing, really understanding what that invitation was, because it wasn't made to the
Right.
extent. But if
Right.
you invite me into your organization and you say, welcome to directory, we'd like to extend an invitation to you to be a part of our organization. These are
Mhm.
the agreements that we make. We agree to these terms,
Mhm.
right? One of them is pet bereavement. One of them is maternity or paternity leave. One of them is these benefits. One of them is this. And what we also expect in those agreements are you are here in a role to deliver results.
Yes.
We will honor our agreements as long as you honor yours.
Mhm.
And when that is so mature to me,
Yes.
but what we end up with is this immaturity from leadership and from employees. Frankly, this goes all the way around.
Yeah.
Leaders like to blame the team, and team members are blaming you. So listen,
Mhm.
everybody's participating, right?
Yeah.
Instead, if I work for an employer like that, and I have to take my 5 days of bereavement leave or whatever it is for my pet, I understand that that is an impact to the organization. I'm grateful for the time. And I
Yes.
also know I have made a commitment to deliver and I will do so. But for you to trust me and honor me as a human makes me more inclined when the
Yes.
agreement was clear.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
And
I,
I think, I mean, it is mutually beneficial, not just for the side around productivity or quality or all of
right.
those things, right? I mean, the CDC reported it's like $222 billion is the productivity cost to organizations with unmanaged grief.
I saw
Um,
that you posted that on Instagram. Say that again. 222 billion
billion
a year,
a
right?
year.
A
Yep.
year.
Yep.
A
Yep.
year, yo. It's
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
lot of money.
It
If you
really
would
is.
just, how much instead, if we just gave them 3 days off,
Yes. Like
like just
state.
pragmatically, just look at that. Yeah.
Yeah, yes. And but beyond even just the cost, I think this idea around, if you can show up for your employee in a moment like that,
Mm-hmm.
never gonna forget it. They're,
Mm-mm.
they're they're in one of the hardest moments of their life and they at least feel validated, and they might not even feel comfortable enough to talk to their family or their friends around it's just their dog, right? I put that in air quotes.
Mm-hmm.
But here you are signaling in a black and white policy this
Mm-hmm.
agreement, right? You now have this agreement of like, these are the trade-offs for you
Mm-hmm.
working here, but also the results that you have. Um, I think I think it's just really important to just think about like, how can you show up for your employees in a way that does let them know that you appreciate that, and then also be able to have a mature conversation around what are the results that we need to have as an organization so that we all continue to have jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to have those conversations, I know, is difficult, which is why I need your program. As much as I've had, and it's been really it's made it really healthy at work to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have talked to some companies who, they say, well, my employees, we don't have clients, they're not salaried, they're literally working a checkout line at the store. Can't just offer this, right? Like, they're full time, but I can't just give them time off.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and for me, it's really saying, okay, well, if it's not a day off, can you at least when they come back in, if they were a smoker, I think you legally have to give them like breaks every
Mm-hmm.
15 minutes, like every hour, 15 minutes every hour.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's what you do. For a few days, you go in and you let them know every hour you're checking in. Do you need to go take a walk around the store? Do you need to go take a moment to be outside? Again, it's just signaling to that employee that you understand what is going on in their life and that you are validating their emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And then for them, as they're processing their grief, when they're feeling better and they're coming back, they're feeling like, wow, they really cared for me, or they understood.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, I just,
Mm-hmm.
to me, it feels very like just a human being empathetic standpoint, it just
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. I know in the US, we don't require federal mandates for bereavement leave. 5 states have it where you must have bereavement leave
Mm-hmm.
for employers. And I don't think that the government should be dictating what we do as businesses, because depending on the size of your business, right, you might not be able to offer things right away. You might be aiming towards, or there will be a time when you can get there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's just about business leaders really figuring out, how do you strike that balance with your team.
It's humanity. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's trusting. And I
Yes.
think, unfortunately, a lot of employers have a pretty jaded perspective that everybody will take advantage of it. Everybody will do this. And
Mhm.
to anyone who has those thoughts, I challenge you to this question, which is, there is no way anyone could take advantage of it if you were holding people accountable for their performance.
Yeah.
But because you don't hold people accountable, you get wrapped around the axle about this stuff. And so, that if we could just solve that problem where everybody just talks to everybody, hey, listen, you made an agreement to do this and you didn't do it. What's going on? But
Mhm.
employers aren't doing that either. And that's why
No.
they think people are running away. Well, they are running away with your policies because you're not holding them accountable to anything. So,
Yeah.
anyway, that's another call and another podcast.
No, I'm with you. I mean, they also leave it up to their line managers, right? To just, well, they'll figure it out.
Right.
And there's not enough training for those managers to even
No, they
understand
don't
what
know
to
how
do.
to do that. Yeah. And then the really nice ones will cover.
Mhm.
The really not nice ones, or the ones who can't, won't cover. And then so it
Yeah.
depends on which manager you get, how, yeah.
Yes, that's why I think it's so important from a policy perspective and from an
Mhm.
overall like company initiative, not just with bereavement leave, but as you said, like the values and the policies and the way that you operate your business. If you can outline it in black and white, whether it's your handbook and then how you are communicating with your leadership team, how they're communicating with their managers,
Mhm.
everyone really has to be aligned, because this is your business. Like, this is your culture, this is your livelihood, this is your baby. But it is now, like you say, like, it's outside of you, right? It's a living, breathing thing. And you don't
Mhm.
want to just leave it up to chance that a manager is going to have, that the employee experience is going to be changed because of a manager, when here you've worked so hard to create this environment.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that does happen, which is true.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Pets Are Family is a
Yes.
book for people going through it,
Mhm.
people who would like to understand it better. And
Yes.
then tell me a little bit about what you're doing around literally the initiative of advocacy for more focus on pet bereavement, et cetera.
Yeah, so the book is mainly for both of those, and at the very end of the book, I have resources, and the resources are, if you don't, if it's not my story, here's all the data and statistics supporting what I'm saying. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then also, if you're an employee and you want to advocate for pet bereavement leave in your organization, there's tools for that as well, coming from an employer standpoint. And it is even the emails when you come back, and it focuses around what you said in this agreement term of, hey, I'm coming back from grieving from bereavement leave. I know these projects are important. Can you help me prioritize? Because I
Mm-hmm.
want to do a good job, right? It's the employee acknowledging too, I have these deliverables. I also
Mm-hmm.
recognize I'm really struggling. So help me figure out what order to do them in.
Mm-hmm.
There's also gift guides, text messages, examples, all sorts of things back there. Um,
Nice.
and then from a broader sense, the bigger I am advocating for pet bereavement leave overall, I have a change.org petition, calling on business leaders of the United States to do the right thing, because even from a brass tack standpoint, right? Like it's mutually beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and so for me, my entry point is pet bereavement leave when I talk about my overall goal around empathy driven leadership. I think
Mm-hmm.
women-run companies are just different. I think there's things that we think about, there's things that we care about, there's ways that we lead teams
Mm-hmm.
that are just different. And I want to also advocate for this empathy-driven leadership, even for men, to say it's okay to be vulnerable, it's okay to show up as your full self, it's okay. These are the things that we should be thinking about, right? So I'm doing a lot of interviews, publications, podcast,
Mm-hmm.
just talking about it. I really feel like you can't normalize something unless you talk about it. So here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah, here we
Well, I
are.
think it's so interesting, it's a little sagey more version of our conversation, right? Because this is such the sage's journey for you, right? As you continue to gather more um knowledge, literal knowledge and intellectual sort of property, but
Yeah.
it's all really coming from wisdom. it's
Mhm.
it's a deep knowing that you have that is um beckoning you to speak.
Mhm.
And I know that's also been a little bit of your story, is to be seen and to have this voice. And so it's so fascinating. It's also almost makes me want to cry.
Same.
Like you had to have the thing that you could feel this powerfully strong about and passionate about
Yeah.
to move outside of your own story about yourself and
Mhm.
see how this experience, while so painful, has now become um like so powerful for so many people who needed an advocate. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of people who deeply feel pet grief um don't know that they even needed the advocacy for it. Do you know what I mean? Because I do think it's just a
Yes.
thing we tuck in.
Yeah, you feel
Tuck
like I'm supposed to go to work tomorrow. I'm supposed to be
Yeah,
there.
it's just my
It's
dog.
uncomfortable to talk about. Yeah, or even if you have pet grief and you're talking to somebody with human kids, you almost feel like you have to ask permission to say,
Right,
it hurts this much. I know it's not a human kid, but for me,
right,
it hurts.
right.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I will always remember my very first Hawaii trip with you years ago. Um, I did struggle a lot with, is my voice really the one that needs to be heard? Who am I to be the one out speaking? I was brave enough to start a company and do these things, but it was behind the organization, it was behind the medications that we were launching. And you pushed and you kept pushing to say, like, there, you have a knowing within you, and you just have to figure out what it is that you want to say to the world. And I think through the SAGE program, it's even taking it beyond. Like, we were no longer just talking about directory and the things going on at work, but it's like, what are your dreams? What do you want to be doing? What do you want to be focusing on? I'm so grateful it all happened the way that it did, because I don't know if I would have gotten there last year, like maybe I would have written the book and it would have just been a manuscript that just got saved in a folder somewhere.
Mhm.
But because of all of the work we've done, I felt confident enough to just say, I'm doing this. And if it's not for everyone, that's okay. Because for the people that it is for, I'm going to help them. And that
Yeah.
matters.
Yeah. And no, it's a change movement that will impact there's impact, right? And I think it's just a great example for all of us who are listening that um we all have a wisdom that's different. Wisdom is different than intellect and knowledge. And we know that it's wisdom because it whispers over and over and over and over. It's very relentless. And that doesn't mean it's a book, and it doesn't mean you become some person who's on TV or all the things. It just means that that is something you were given, and I don't know what that even means. Listen,
Mhm.
all I know is it's true. And I've seen it too many times over and over and over again when women allow it, when they create space to hear it, right? And
Yeah,
then it's so gorgeous. Like, what a gorgeous legacy. If you did nothing else ever in your
I
life,
feel.
you're so young. Like, there's so much more to do.
And now I'm excited, right, for all of the
Right.
things where
It's so
before it
fun.
was I was playing small and who am I? But now I just feel having the space to think about it and even being prompted with the questions to dream,
Mhm.
and also being reminded that it is already inside of you. The magic is already there.
Yeah.
Just do you have the courage to see it? And then once you see it, it's really hard to, you can't let it go. Now it's
Stop
what do you
smushing
do
it.
it?
And
Yeah,
then look at what happens, right? Like,
it's beautiful.
yeah, and we do have to create, I read this somewhere or someone said it to me, that we have to really be willing to create our magic, our art, our um expression, whatever that is that you write, if you paint, if you sing, if you speak, if you
Mhm.
think, like whatever it is that you do, we have to do it for ourselves first
Yeah.
without the consideration of the judgment of everybody else, because then we'll never really plant and step into the magic that it needs to be.
Oh my
I
God,
think
all
that's
of that, all of
I
that.
think that's what's so true about that book that you wrote, is that you wrote it just, you didn't write it with like, I'm going to be on podcasts and talk about it,
No.
right?
Yeah.
That was not what you were doing. You were just doing it to let it move through you.
Yep. Yep.
And and that is when we come out on the other side. And now, right, you have stepped into a level of your sage presence, right? A sage is well known, right, for something, right?
Yeah.
There's a knowing about her, but she always knows there's more to know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to your
So this
point
is
around,
wisdom. Yeah. Sorry.
no, no, I was just gonna say to you what you said earlier of doesn't have to be a book, it doesn't have to be on podcasts, it doesn't have to be on the news. I think for me, even just having the decision to not have kids, I
Mm,
had friends to look to that also don't have kids, or if you choose, I'm not getting married, or whatever it is that you decide you want to do, by having the sage wisdom to say, I'm doing this for me and I have the courage to just move it forward.
mhm.
You're an inspiration, an example for other people of they can live their own authentic life moving forward. It doesn't have to be all of these other things. That alone is powerful because of the ripple effect.
Yeah. And I think especially for women, and
Yes.
we're in a really interesting time right now. And I'm worried. I say this on a lot of my podcasts. I'm very concerned. And I just want all of us as women to, whatever that place is that you sit, like advocacy for other women, supporting space where other women are growing. Women do build and lead companies differently. Um, That's why this podcast is called Leadership is Feminine, right? And also, we also know, there's statistically speaking, we tend to perform better. Women run companies actually get better results. And that is because we bring humanity into our culture.
Mhm.
And so this is the time where all of us need to be rallying around one another and finding ways to help advance each other's voices in whatever way we can. because
Yeah.
we have gotten to a place where we now have presence and voice, and we cannot lose that at
Yes.
all, ever. So
Yes.
my little
Yes.
go.
We need it. We need the reminder, especially
need
as
it. Yes.
women. Yeah.
Yes. So that's why I'm doing this whole series is to feature all of the clients that I've worked with who have written books and have published thoughts in the world, because my frustration has been when you go into the airport bookstore or even on Audible, all these books are written by men. Like, let's get busy. And I know I got chastised too. So I have another book coming out, which is coming soon. So
I'm
anyway,
excited.
it's very short, but it's good. Anyway, I'm excited about it. Okay. So I know you have a couple of places people can go. You've
Yes.
got your fun Instagram. So tell us about that.
Yes. Instagram is Erika with a K _ Sinner, and it is Sinner. I post lots of things on there and I let everyone into my life. And then also petsorfamily.info. So that's where the change.org petition is. I have the resources in my book in a PDF format. And then you can also order the book. I would, I get a notification for every order or every sign up to my newsletter. And it's amazing. I like squeal every time my phone goes off.
Yeah. And one of our clients, one of our other Sage clients, she bought the book for her entire team.
She did cry that day. That was like ugly cry day.
It was so cute. And she implemented a pet bereavement, or did she already have one? But she's a
No,
big,
she put one in.
yeah, she has 3 or 4 or 12 dogs. I know she has a lot of them. Yeah.
And for her, she would have let her employees off for that time, but it just wasn't in the policy. And it was just an aha moment to say like, oh, we can make this clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when it is your company, allegedly, whatever the F you want, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can have a pet bereavement policy. I could do whatever I want.
Yeah, we have paternity leave now.
Paternity. Come on.
I mean, it's only a day, but still, I'm like, those little babies come in with their shark teeth and you need a day with the chaos.
Oh my gosh. And more than that, the puppies,
Yeah.
and that's what I feel like is coming again. And I work from home, so I'm puppy parent for sure.
Yeah.
But I'll figure that out. So, okay. So, thank you for sharing your work, and thank you for just being who you are and how you keep stepping in again. You keep just you're like, wait, I need a minute. And then and I also think that's really great. And if you follow Erika's Instagram, you'll see you're doing you've changed your title, right, to Chief Empathic Officer.
Empathy
Do I have that
officer.
right?
Yeah.
And teaching sort of how to hold space for yourself, how to hold boundaries on days that you really can't take any more in, and how to respond to people when that is true. I think there's a lot of beautiful things that you're posting out there. So for those of you who are interested, I would certainly suggest you find Erika and follow her and buy her book and give it to a friend. And
I say thank you, Chris. Thank you for helping me find my voice. I know I found it, but thank you for helping me get there.
You found it. You just had to believe it was in there. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, love. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you.